All right, there we are. I did not have any audio, so I apologize for that. I originally was going to create a video for doing this amateur radio go box or ham radio go box, but I'm going to be leaving to go out of town here in a couple of days, and I would not have had enough time to shoot the video and edit it and get it out for you guys before I left. So I figured, why not go ahead and just do a live feed. This will be a part one, so we're essentially taking a complete weatherproof box and we'll be putting in a radio, a Lifepo4 battery, an antenna, some fuses, a fuse block rather, some toggle switches, do it all live. Now this could be a long stream, so I do apologize. Stick around and this should be really good. I do want to mention that, let's see here, if I can get all these going. Again, I'm Michael, DIY Solar Energy YouTuber and an amateur radio operator. I do hold an extra class license, so I love amateur radio. I use amateur radio every day of my life. It's not a hobby per se for me, it is a way of life. So with that said, now I do have a moderator, which is Kevin from Kev Central. He is a fairly good sized YouTuber. He reviews bicycles, e-bikes. I've known Kevin ever since basically my childhood, so yeah. Let's see here. I can't do text messages right now, I apologize. Anyway, now let's see here. So we got Kev. I appreciate Kevin being the moderator for us today. He's going to help me out with the live chat. Everything that I'll be using in the live stream, there's links down below. Everything but the Icom radio. The Icom that I have is an Icom 2100, where the replacement was the Icom 2300. A buddy of mine, N4DBH, had the Icom 2100 that we picked up at the Huntsville Ham Fest in 2019. He didn't use it, so I bought it from him. So yeah, so let's see who we all have here. We got Sean. Welcome, Sean. Welcome to the live stream. Who else do we have? Before, let's see, do we have Kevin? Is Kevin, I've got Kevin on my handy dandy phone here. He's gonna let me know if something pops up. See if Kevin's back around, and we will get this show started, get it underway. Make sure to go ahead, if you're not a subscriber, to go ahead and click the subscribe button right there. And if you turn on the notification bell, it will let you know on my next live stream or video that I put up on YouTube. Also to mention, if you can, if you give me a thumbs up, that way we can, you know, hit the YouTube's algorithm and maybe get a little bit more subscribers. I am a small channel, but I am building in process. So, all right, so we see we got Kevin in here. Now what I'll probably do, let me swing back around here. All right. And let's go ahead and get over to the bench. And you'll see everything I got set up there. I'll kind of go over what I got and then what I plan to do. Now what I would like is to see some chats going back and forth and give me your opinions on what you would do. So yeah, so let's go ahead and go over to the bench. So there we are. We are now at the bench, and I will come over to that side of the bench in just a second. Let's see here. Mr. Uncle Bobby, what's going on, sir? Glad to have you part of the live stream here. And let's see here. Okay, so what I have here is an Apache 3800. This, some people refer to it as the Harbor Freight model. You can buy it at Harbor Freight, you can buy it at Amazon. There's a lot of places you can buy these. Some people prefer the Pelican cases, where the Pelican cases are a little more pricey. And I have found that these work just as well. Right here, I have a set of Headway 38120. These are the 8 amp hour, with each cell being burstable up to 200 amps. So, and I've got 3 in parallel and 4 in series, so that'll give me 600 amps of burstable power. Down here, I have an Icom 2100. It is a VHF only. Got some basic 10 gauge silicone wire, a bunch of connectors, breakers, lights. I have an, I'll get to that in just a second. Our fuse block that we're going to be installing, various other connectors to keep it all kind of waterproof. And the one I've been waiting on, which is this overkill, and I can now finally go ahead and take the rubber band off of it. These are, you can buy the Chinese versions of these. The reason why I did not was I want to make sure to buy something that is tested in America. Now, these are the same brand as, I think it's a JBD, but I'm not sure what type of correspondence that they have with that particular company. But as you see here, I get a full test report on this BMS, and they come with a massive warranty. So matter of fact, everything you see here, I've got links in the descriptions below. I went ahead and put some terminal ends on the BMS, so that'll make it a little bit easier for us. I'm gonna start moving some of this stuff out of the way as we get ready to use it. I will bring it back. Any questions you have, please leave it in the comments below. I'm going to look off over here to my iPad at times, and then if there's something that pops up, Kev will let me know for sure. I did set up, I haven't mentioned it very much, but I did set up a Patreon account. If you're into Patreon and you want to help support the channel, so go over to Patreon, join Patreon, and help me out. This way I can make some great videos, some good content, and try to build the channel up. All right. These are some waterproof toggle switches. We'll have to drill some holes in the case. I have some LED lights. So, and I'll tell you everything we're going to be doing with this. And I've got some, this is RG400. I did not put that into the description because I had some around here. And this is a NMO connector. So I went ahead and soldered on the NMO to the RG400. If you're not familiar with RG400, it is a silver Teflon coax. It's the same size as like your truck stop Mini 8 coax, but it is a double shielded. Let's see if I can get in here a little bit closer for you. It is a double shielded silver conductor, so this will be really nice, really nice. And let's see here, and we'll zoom back out. All right, so look back over here. Now, I will say the reason why I went with Headway. I could have went with, let me go over here. I could have easily went with these. These use the exact, well, they're not Lifepo4. These are lithium ion or lithium, forget if they're cobalt, but these are pouch, and they put out 200 amps as well, just similar to the Headway Lifepo4s. But the reason why I did not is these are going to be safer. You know, this box is going to get, you know, kind of thrown around, and you know, pouch cells, you got to be a little safe with them. And see if I can get a little bit more. See if that may be too bright. There we go, get a little more color in here. Now, I went ahead and set these headways up as a 3P4S, so we get 12 volts, or I think it's like 14.1. And I have put, again, links in the description below where you can buy all of this and make it a lot easier for you. Hello, hello, Sonia, Sean, PulseJet, Uncle Bobby, and of course the lovely Icom 2100. This is an older radio. Like I said, he picked it up at the Huntsville Hamfest in Huntsville, Alabama, so he had no use for it, so I got a good deal on it. It'll work great for this project. And the Apache box. Now, I've taken a little bit of time ahead to cut out where I want the battery pack to go. Otherwise, this could be a very long, even though it's going to be a pretty long live feed, it could get even longer. So take that in consideration as I am dropping stuff everywhere, but it's okay. All right, so gotta love my little boy, putting stuff in everything. So now, has anyone got into amateur radio go boxes? That'd be my first question. Now, the way I'm doing this, there's going to be a kind of a two-part. I do have the Icom 2100, and I do plan on upgrading that radio to one that I can do either D-Star and DMR, or maybe build a hotspot so I can do D-Star and DMR off of one radio, so I can do digital work. So initially, this box, we'll put the 2100 in here, but on part 2, I'll come back with a different radio and put a nice plate on top of it. But right now, we want to get the battery side of it all set up, along with the fusing and everything to keep it safe. So as you see, I've pretty much pulled out all of the foam. Now I've got to look at all of the dirt that my son has put in here over the past couple of days. Gotta love that. Question from a complete novice. Is this part of a portable radio you're building? So, yes, this is for like an amateur radio example. If you hear a lot of the preppers that want a two-way communication device on the go, this box will do that. But also, this box can jumpstart your car. This box can be a flashlight. This box can do communications. There's going to be a lot that this particular box can do. So it's going to be kind of like a multi-function box. All right, how is the lighting for everybody? Is it too dark, too light? So you're talking about the Navia cells. I have a butt ton of these. I'm in the process of getting a DIY power wall together for this particular reason. Let me up some ante on some lights here. Look, the video looks a little bit dark. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Well, what is going on here? I keep losing lights on my power from my lights. Okay, maybe that'll be okay. So, but yes, I do have a bunch of these. Matter of fact, I've got 144 of these. So, we'll see how these work out. Okay. Where shall we start? Now, I've got to take in consideration of a fuse block that I want to put in. I've got to take in consideration, I do want the cells to lay here, and I want the amateur radio here. So when this thing closes, we have a nice size gap up here, but now we have an antenna that's going to be on the top. When you lay this flat, you'll be able to use the antenna on the top. So I am thinking that if we take our demo antenna, yeah, will it fit there? It kind of rocks back and forth on the grooves. It will fit here, or we can put it right in the center. Now, if you're not familiar with VHF, doesn't necessarily need a ground plane per se, meaning a ground plane for the surface. You'll see, and it's kind of hard to show you here, but your seal is right here for NMO, and then there is your center conductor. A lot of times I've seen, especially with like an MFJ antenna, they don't even connect the shield to anything to begin with. So, but we will certainly check the SWRs and see what we can do. So I'm thinking we leave the Apache logo alone, and we'll go ahead and start drilling our hole for the NMO right there. That way we can get that one spot secured. And there will be drills going, so I apologize. I need to see if I can figure out a way to mute that out. I'm sure that's going to be loud. Maybe I can go back and forth and mute that out for you all. And let me get a drill. I'm going to go ahead and drill this spot, and I'll put on a little bit of music for you all while I do that. Well, maybe no music. I'll just mute you out to be on the nicer side. That way you guys don't have to hear the obnoxious drill. I will say, if you have any questions in this process, go ahead and throw them in the live chat, and I will look at them as soon as I get the hole drilled. And anything that you would do to your Go box that would be different, let me know. Okay, so apologize for that. I didn't want you all to hear the extremely annoying drill. With it being live, I was trying to be cautious of that. So now we should be able to stick our stud up through here and deal with all of this extra coax, which I will be cutting off. Right. Now, when you do this, this particular one, I took it off of another mount. So you'll have a water jacket seal. Make sure that that goes down to keep your box weatherproof. So now we have the NMO mount on there. We should be able to take our antenna and mount it on. Pretty solid. Needs a battery backup. Yeah, I got the something what's similar to what Kev has ordered, a little stream deck that allows you to do various hotkeys, and I did not get that set up. Well, I got it ordered. I did not order a large one. I ordered a small one because down the road there's potential for some more projects to use it for, if I may say. Okay, so now what I want to do is to adjust this just a little bit. I want to try to keep that angle straight. That way we can run all of that behind that foam, and we should be able to cut our coax somewhere right in this general vicinity to get rid of all that excess. Okay. Now, let's see. Now, your opinions, how would you mount the fuse box? I'm thinking along this line about right here. Now, the fuse box has a negative and a positive. Again, the links for all of this are in the description, what I am using here. If I keep the fuse block up here, all the wires will be running back and forth for safety, but if I put it down here, I'm not for sure I'll have that much room. Now we could put it here possibly. Let's see. That's a little bit close, but let me take everything off of this radio. This probably would not have been a good live feed to do, but I am shooting for the sky anyway. So I guess I could put that back here. What do you guys think? Let's see here. If I put it back here in the back, there's my SO239. That should work out just fine, I believe. All right, so try to get it level. Grab a Sharpie pen. There. I apologize for the boring parts of this. The exciting part will be getting to use it and make a contact. Now, if time permits, tonight I will try to make a contact. I'm trying my best to make this as quickly as possible. I thought about going solar charge. I have a charger over here I could use. I'm going to be putting some plugs and various connections on the outside, which will give me the ability to charge it. So that's not out of the realm. The first part will be getting the batteries and everything in here and getting it hooked up and tested. And then we will come back on part 2 to add solar to it. All right. Do you guys have any questions for me as I go through this process? I will be happy to answer anything I can. I'm going to try with the drill on for once and see if it's loud for you all. Just let me know if it's too loud. Is that too loud for you all? I don't know if my light power supply is going to let me finish my live feed tonight. It is not wanting to cooperate with me. Well, let's see here. I will see if I can make an adjustment to this so I can try to finish the live feed. Things happen, unfortunately. Okay, so hopefully that is a little bit better. It won't get quite as dark. Low speeds are fine. The higher speeds get a bit loud. Thank you very much. Okay. So now let's see if these particular screws may not make it through there. Ground at the top. Again, this is a 100% live feed of building a Go box with no way to edit anything out, which is always great. But we will make it happen. Okay, I do have some of those. I will put a couple in it for tonight. This way we can get the video done and I don't have you guys waiting here all night, and I will come back and finalize the screws and get all those cut off to the correct length. Do I have any amateur radio operators in the feed tonight? I know I've got 10 watching. So I am at this point mounting the fuse box just with a couple of screws to get it located in here for now. And then we will get to doing some wiring. Your fuse block or fuses 100% protect your devices. It could protect your batteries, especially when you're, carrying it and something was to happen to come apart, it could short out. So we definitely want to protect you and your equipment at all cost. Okay, I'm just going to put 2 in there for now, and we will come back to it. So now we've got our fuse block. Now I want to go ahead and take the box out of the way, and let's talk about the batteries and the BMS. Do we know what a BMS is? Some people have no idea what a BMS is. Let me know what you think a BMS is. The first one to guess gets $1 billion. No, I'm joking. Totally joking. So, a BMS is a battery management system. A BMS protects your batteries from several different things. BMS protects it from overvoltage when you have batteries in parallel and in series. So in this case, you see I've got 3 batteries in parallel. We have 3 batteries in parallel, another set of 3 batteries in parallel, another set of 3 batteries in parallel, and then we have a parallel with a series. So if we flip it over on this side, we have all of the batteries are connected together for the series connection. So what we want to do for this is we want to add the BMS to the battery pack to keep the batteries balanced. Being Lipo4 batteries, I highly recommend you take all of your cells and you put them all in series. No, you put them all in parallel. Why do you want to put them all in parallel? Well, when you're charging Lipo4, you want to make sure you top balance all of your Lipo4 cells. Why? Well, if you have, say, example, 4 out of your 6 are topped off and your other 2 are not, but the voltage reads the same. Well, the voltage may read the same, but it may not have the amount of capacity inside that cell. So if you have all of your batteries at 3.65 for Lipo4, read your manufacturer's data sheets, and you top them all off. Well, Lipo4, once you charge them up and let them set, they will drop typically to around 3.5, 3.55. That's just the chemistry. So once you charge them up, let them set, wait a day, come back, charge them again, let them set, wait a day, charge them again. You want to get your Lifepo4s topped off. That way your BMS does not have to work as hard, and you get all of the capacity out of your batteries. This gives you the ability to use your battery at full capacity. Building management system. That's right. Okay, so now I don't need this, but I want to show you all what Overkill Solar sent me. They sent me a nice handy dandy koozie per se, and this is not a sponsored video by Overkill. I do have a link below where you can go buy you an Overkill. They are, from what I hear, this is my first time using an Overkill. They are, you know, a great American company. They're a little pricey, but you do get what you pay for today. So with this particular BMS, they give you everything that you need, and they show you everything, how to program. This particular BMS does have a Bluetooth dongle with it, so you can configure everything via your phone. So I don't particularly need this, but since it's here, I will stick it up or stick it over here so you guys can see it. Actually see here. I'll leave it sitting like this while I put terminal ends. So what Overkill is saying on their battery management system, or BMS, is that your red wire is your far most positive, or the primary positive of your pack. So what I will do is, we all need to know, I know where my positive is on my pack, but what I'm gonna go ahead and do is get the terminals on these ends. And what I like to do, this is just me, I like to find the terminal, or the, say, the screw that I will be using, go through my terminals and see the smallest one that fits the wire. Well, we can clearly see here that the bolt will not fit in that terminal. We can see here that the bolt will not fit in this terminal. And we look through the rest of these. Now, typically with a lot of these, like Headways, these screws will be metric, and a lot of your connectors you get today will be standard. So for example, this particular one here says a 1210 size wire, but it uses a 5.5 millimeter. Well, I believe this is a 6 millimeter thread, so that's just not going to work. Now, some people will take these and, you know, bore them out a little bit, but we won't do that on this channel. So what I'm going to try to do is, I believe I will go this route. I had some terminals on order, but unfortunately they did not make it in. So we've got to do what we've got to do for the time being. So I will go ahead and get these soldered in, and I'll do that here for you all so you can see what I like to do. I like to put my wire in, crimp it, and solder it. That way I get a good connection. So let me zoom in here a little bit further for you. So, yep, there we go. Now, I do have the ability to go with a larger terminal. Like, let's see, that's a very large terminal. But the problem I have with it is it doesn't quite sit down all the way. Yes, that will work, and I could probably use this. And let's see here, we will keep moving on. I believe I just may have got in luck. Me owning an electronic shop for many years, I still have access to all of that. So I've got some of these are shrink wrap terminals, and that is perfect. Now I have a total of 5 wires. And would you believe it, I have 5 terminals. I believe in at least something that's portable like this to definitely use a BMS. Just my personal opinion. A lot of people don't, but with Lifepo4, you definitely want that balancing. You don't want to overcharge those cells or you can seriously damage them. I don't recommend not using a BMS. Now others may, but I 100% do recommend a BMS. Now, we do have a large amount of wires here. Now, what I'm going to do, or what I could do, is cut these to length. But a lot of people don't realize that wire carries resistance. Now, if you have one wire that's, say, let's just say this is about, you can't say, it's about 3 foot long. Well, if you have one that's 3 foot long and another one that's 6 inches, you have a different resistance on that wire. So, just me, I would definitely want to make sure to keep all of your wires the same length because we are dealing with DC here. Okay. So I will be stripping my wires here. And I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to actually fold it in half so it'll give me a little bit larger wire. Readjust the camera here just a little bit so you all can see what I'm doing. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them in the description below or leave them in the chat, and I will be happy to conversate, discuss. I'm not perfect. I'm always open to I was about to say criticism, but I'm open to, you know, any type of discussion as long as it doesn't have swear words in it. Now I am keeping all of these about the same length that I'm going to fold and heat and put in there. Just my preference. And I appreciate you guys sticking around this long. And I know this is going to be a little bit of a longer live stream. And that's why I will be doing a part 2 to do a follow-up. Okay, so now I've got my wire in there. And I'm not for sure I can solder with these terminals. But we will give it a shot and see. Let's see what kind of connection we have with that. That is really solid. Okay, well, I will go ahead and get these folded up and we'll come back with the heat gun and get these shrink wrap melted down. Well, the resistance in the wires. So you will hear a lot of people talk about you're dealing with, let's say, a short, thin wire. Example, what is this right here? This is a 22 gauge wire. Well, wire in general, no matter the size, has a loss factor, especially when we're dealing with DC. Certain lengths of wire can lose voltage depending on its load and its length and its size. So typically when you're dealing with a short distance, here's an example, say 16 gauge. Well, a piece of 16 gauge that long can probably handle a pretty good size amount of amperage. Say that's about a 3 to 4 inch piece. It could probably handle a 60 to 80 amp, load for a very short period of time. But say 22 gauge could not. But so where I'm going with that is, depending on your wire size, your wire length, your resistance changes. When these BMSs are designed, and I assume when they are designed for a certain resistance for that wire. And that's how they do their calculations. Well, I don't want to mess up their calculations by cutting their wire and throw that off. I'd rather just bundle it up inside there nice and tidy, maybe put it in some wire loom and be done with it. I don't know if that answers what you asked. I kind of jumbled around there. I apologize. PulseJet says charge equalizers work fine for you. There are a lot of people, PulseJet, that don't have a problem with that. Some individuals like how do I say it? Active balancers, some like BMSs, some like pass-through BMSs, where like that overkill is a pass-through, the negative passes through the BMS, or something like a Batrium or a DIY BMS how do I describe that? It's not a passive. Well, the Batrium is a passive, where the overkill is not a passive. Does that make sense? I believe I got that correctly. I hope I don't have those backwards. So I will go and heat shrink these with a heat gun. That heat gun I have is massive and loud, and I will mute you out, you guys, for just a couple of minutes. Thank you for your patience. Kevin brought up something while I was doing this, and the reason why I folded over the wires is the terminals are made for 10 gauge. Let's see if I can get that. See that it's made for 10 gauge and I'm dealing with 22 gauge. So I folded over the wires to make it a little bit thicker, get it closer to, let's say, you know, maybe a 16 gauge or a 14 gauge. And these have the built-in the glue in the terminals. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of tape on that because I did crimp through some of that heat shrink and I want it to be, you know, extra safe. Now, what I'll be using is some Scotch electrical tape. I believe this is like a 601 or 608 or 610. And we'll read here the only electrical systems I've probably worked with. Typically, you're right on the resistance, but when you're carrying something of a load, then, you know, I don't know how these BMSs are calculated. So I don't want to mess up any of their calculations when reading the battery voltage. Now, that's been a pretty hot topic in some of the DIY Powerwalls Facebook group about cutting the wires, not cutting the wires. I just chose not to cut them, but you know, I mean, some people do. I've seen other YouTubers cut their BMS wires, and then there's some that don't. The manufacturer on some of them recommend do not cutting them and simply, like I did, fold them up and, you know, keep the wires all the same length. But in the DC world, you know, it still comes back to load. And these will see probably, you know, very little load, except for when they're probably balancing out. All right, and I'm just adding some extra tape on top where I crimped through some of that heat shrink that was on there, just so I can protect those cells from shorting out. I will be wrapping this whole pack and the BMS together. Okay. Let's grab a handy dandy fluke and find our main positive and negative, and then each series. Break out the Fluke 27. I don't know if I can get that where y'all can see it or not. That'll work. Okay, so we have a positive and negative, 6.9. So if I stand this up, so there's this right here would be our main positive, and 3.1, we go here, here, 6, 13. So we got our primary. So it'll be our first negative. So if we just happen to look at their directions, we have our positive on our first set. We have our second positive or ground, our third, our fourth, then our primary negative. So we know where our main positive is. $13.76. Then our second and then fourth, then our fifth. Okay. I'm just going to put this one in the middle for now. Actually, this will be our primary positive. And keep these wires straight. Kind of leave them a little bit loose for now. Not all the way tight. So we have our primary positive, then this one should be our main negative. So we'll go ahead and grab our main negative and put it in the pack as well. And of course, before you hook up your BMS, you want to make sure that your wiring is all series correctly. Now, go to our first set, which should be here. Now, if we take our voltage, which is 13.75, and then we take and add 3.2 to each one of those to find our next points. So 3.2 with our main negative will be here. So now if we just measure between these two, we see we're at 3.31. So now go off of my wire. Here we go. Now we are just creating a 48 volt. Oh my Jesus. Let me move that back. We're simply creating a 12 volt battery, so we don't have to use a buck converter. All these wires down in here. Now our next one in the bunch. Now if we take the 6 volt and add an additional 3, that'll give us at 10. So now we take our main negative, and our 10 volt should be here. Sorry, it's on this side. That's what I'm doing. And wrap around 1, 2, 3, 6. Four. 10. Okay. There we go. Just double checking everything I do. I don't want to burn up we'll just say $100+ BMS. Most of the ones I've been using have been like a passive type BMS. Okay, now go back here. Got our negative 10.2. Okay. Perfect. I am going to move one over. See if I can bend that properly. Be fine there. Reason why I'm putting these wires in the middle of the BMS, some people say it really doesn't matter if you put it on the end of the series or the end of the parallel. I like putting them in the middle so I know it's equally balanced. Just, I guess that's more of an OCD thing. Now, perfect. And go over to the comment section. I realize this is probably not the most entertaining live feed. More of a how-to, I guess you would say, or me building my Go box live. That way, I'm just trying to share my experience. Yep. Please leave me a comment. Let me know your opinion. I am very open to people's opinions. I am human. I make mistakes. So okay. Now, so we've got our main negative, our 3 volt, and that should be our 6 volt. I'm just double checking everything. Okay. And then this one should be there. Perfect. Okay. Where's everybody from that's currently watching? I am in Mobile, Alabama, the great, or rather close to the Gulf Coast. I've been doing amateur radio now for, I'm guessing, going close to 3 years. I used to be a pretty big, nasty word, as they call it, a CBer. And then I got my first tech license a couple of years ago, and then I kind of went from there. I think I will keep those together. I realize I'm not 100% in frame for you guys to see all this. I apologize. I do have a pretty good size power wall coming up, and I'm in the process of getting all of the Lifepo4 cells balanced. So that, of course, if you're aware, that does take quite a time with 144 cells. So now what I'm going to do, and what I would recommend everybody doing, is once you have all of your BMS wires, you will want to take your meter and check your work to make sure that you don't have anything crossed. Doug's e-bike, Western Pennsylvania. And welcome, Doug's e-bike. And then Sonia's in Central Indiana. So get all this in frame so you guys can see it. So now the way I should go, we should go up around 3.2 volts per wire. So we're at 3.31, 3.83, 10.27, and then finally 13.76. So now we know we have our BMS wired correctly. You want to double check that, because if you don't hook it up correctly, you are going to burn up your BMS. I'm not for sure what it will do to your BMS, but I would not want to take that risk. Now I am just making sure I got all of these tightened down good. And I have this one that goes here. Now, you're probably asking me why I have a huge pack. Now, what I will be doing extra with this is running a set of jumper cables out of the Go box. Now, they will have a little terminal stud, or I could use an Anderson connector to connect the jumper cables. They're little small jumper cables. They should be able to start anything up to about 600 amps. So that will be awesome. I'm going to move that BMS wire down one, just so I can lay this kind of flat here. Okay. I've got to remember to keep this in frame for you all. I keep taking it out of frame. Now, I want to get a small piece of shrink wrap, at least about this long, if I can get it to come in focus. about this long so I can cover up these studs. Now we'll have another piece of shrink wrap to cover the BMS and this. So let me grab a quick sheet of heat shrink. Everybody needs plenty of heat shrink. Now I'll let you guys pick the colors. I have this beautiful orange, which could match everything we got and you can see through it. Or I've got blue. Orange, blue. Oh, that's auburn colors. Ugh. What do you guys think? Should we go with orange? Kind of look good with the red and the orange go box. Or blue. What are you guys thinking? Orange or blue? Orange or blue? That probably would fit. And then on the blue, that one. So, what do you think? I'm thinking orange. As much as I'm not an Auburn fan, but orange. All right, Sonia wins. I'm just going to measure it to. Really, I'm not wanting to cover up this particular stud or this stud, so I'm just cutting a short piece to, like I said, primarily keep the wires in shape, keep them fastened down, and then we'll put another piece over it for the main protection. And this is some great stuff. I actually picked this stuff up from Keith's store, and I did not add that to the list of links below, but I will get you guys a link to that. Kind of like a whole use shrink. And they have various sizes, tremendous amounts of sizes. I guess I can leave my primary and negative exposed and just, yeah, I'll do it that way for now. That way I'll keep my back ones covered up. And a lot of people don't even do this. You don't have to, but I recommend it. Okay, I'm gonna mute you again while I turn on this hugely awesome heat shrink heat gun. And what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of music while I do this. So give me just a moment and I'll be right back. War Eagle for the win. Whoa. I don't know, Kevin. What do you think, man? War Eagle for the win?
Yeah, pretty funny.
I don't want to put anything metal up in here, but I had a wire when I flipped it over to get out of the shrink wrap. A little trace in the middle, if you guys can see that. I will take a ceramic screwdriver and go up in there with that. Come on. It's just right where you can't quite get to it. That would be, I would say, one downside to using this. There we go. So now we have our complete BMS leads. As you can see, some of the leads are protected, and we'll cut a larger piece in just a few moments that will cover all of it. Okay, now for BMS. So now we know we have our primary positive and negative. And these are our two connection points. So I've went ahead and added a spacer in here to hold that. These particular bus bars that I have, they are diagonal, as you can see from the top. Okay, so although I don't need that. Now, the reason why I have my positive and negative right here is because if you'll read on the headways, this will be my positive terminal. So what happens is your power output would go here, down, across, back up, travel through here, down, and back up, and come this way. This way it'll use all of the cells. So you're not having, example, your positive here. Now, some people can put their positive or their negative here and their positive or negative on the opposite side. Just the way I constructed this pack, they ended up right here close to each other. So now, also to note with this particular BMS that you have a B negative right here, a B negative. Well, I turned that off and I got camera shake. I am sorry. There we go. I've got a B negative and then a C negative. So what would that mean? Well, if you look back at your description here, your B negative, which is your blue wire, goes down to your battery negative. So now your black wires would be your output of your battery pack. That'll be your main negative pack voltage out. So what I will do is go ahead, and I'm gonna put this upside down, but what I want to do first is go ahead and let's put some shrink wrap on this connection. Doesn't really matter what color it is at this point. I will save. I will actually go ahead and use this. Even though it's red, it'll be okay. Or we'll use some white. All right, so now we've got that kind of shrink wrapped down. It is still very hot. And we will get our terminal on. Now, we've got to take in consideration as well that this pack will be laying like this. So I want to make sure that I have enough flexibility to bend this up. So one good thing about these particular holders is they have little studs on the side. So if it does happen to get loose, it'll prevent them from shorting out. So now we can push our pack up this way, bring in our BMS, and hook up our leads. And we can get a voltmeter and test and see if we're working. Is that in frame for you all? So now we go here to our positive. There we go. So now we have 13.76 volts traveling through the BMS. So now this will be the first time of me using this particular BMS. So I did go ahead and download their app. Give me just a second here while I load it on my phone. So the app, and I'm not even going to lie to you how to pronounce this, but so we'll click here. It says waiting for data. And now we have our Bluetooth BMS, and it shows the voltage of each cell. Now, for me to configure it, I have to buy it. I will do that offline here, but this is a great add-on for this particular BMS. Another reason why I like the Overkill BMS, not only is this a 120 amp BMS, but you get the Bluetooth app. But unfortunately, you do have to pay to configure it, that's not a problem. Now, there is another BMS software out there that I hear that may work. I downloaded it ahead of time to see if maybe it can find it, but I'm not getting any luck. Hey Mike, these particular BMSs are the JBD BMSs they sell on AliExpress. they're identical to the matter of fact, let me see if I can zoom in here. I kind of can't, but it'll say JBD SP04S020. So only thing that Overkill does is give you a warranty, a massive warranty with it. They test it. So as far as the test receipt, you get a test receipt with it. Gives you all of the information, all of the calibrations. They are tremendously more expensive. Now, if you went to AliExpress and bought this JBD Lifepo4 4S 120 amp BMS, I think it's about 60 bucks. And then you got to buy the Bluetooth dongle, which is another, I think, 8 bucks. Now, if you went and paid for the 10-day quote unquote shipping, it'd be close to the same price, unless you felt like waiting 45 days to 90 days. I believe what your Lipo4 sales you got in, they took quite a while to get in. I don't recall if you said that on any of your videos, but they're pretty much close to the same though. Okay. So now I will get my positive terminal here and get one of those created that'll be long enough to go to my post. So the positive side will go to the, I don't have it up here, to the fuse box and to some side posts for the jumper cables. So let me get that done here now. Now, just for information, I really don't plan on pulling over around maybe 30 amps tops through the BMS, actually. Probably no more than really 10 amps. But I will probably go ahead and make a, this is 8 gauge. So I'm probably going to match this for my positive out, because that'll be going to a couple of different locations. And what I'll be using is some 8 gauge American supply, which is 100% OFC. And it's going to be upside down. I apologize. So that's OFC, and it's pre-tinned. Yeah, I got tired. I ordered this BMS quite a while back, and I ordered one of the JBDs from AliExpress as well, because I want to do a comparison video. But why would you wait 30, 45 days for an American BMS? That's where I was looking at. It didn't make no sense. You know, when you can hop on AliExpress and have one in 10 days. Now, granted, you don't have the warranty that they supply. Now, I have not been able to test their warranty, but I hear that they have a fairly good warranty. But who knows? That's, not here nor there. Okay, so now I've got my 8 gauge, 3 of my 8 gauge wires. What I'm going to do is, one of the wires will go off to the fuse panel, and then 2 more will go over to my studs. Did you get your JBD from Battery Hookup? I haven't seen them carry any of the JBDs. They look close to the JBDs, but I don't think that they were the actual JBD brand. Not saying that that makes, you know, any difference compared to some of the other brands out there. I just know that the reviews on the JBD brand seem to be okay, you know, for a that type of style compared to like a Batrium, if I may say. So I apologize, I was doing this off camera here. Zoom back out, and all I'm doing at this point is grouping my 3 8-gauge wires together, and I'm going to get ready to cut them to put them in this connector. Now this connector is a 4-gauge connector, so I'm shoving 10 pounds of stuff in a 4-pound box. Kind of makes me wish I would have created a video for this instead of doing it live, but here I am. And I can definitely tell you right now that my 8-gauge is much larger than the 8-gauge that came in with the BMS, because I'm using the same connector, and 3 of my 8-gauge will not fit in here. So they are definitely not using an 8-gauge. I don't care what that wire says on it. I should have measured it before I put those ends on it. Yeah, this will not fit. I'm going to try to make it. Well, I was able to get it in there. Not cleanly though. Alright, I think that should work a little bit better. And I'm not on camera doing this because I have to kind of be over my trash can as I cut some of these wires off. I apologize. Now what I also will be doing with this particular end here is I will be soldering this particular end as well as crimping it. So give me just a moment. I'll run over here to the crimper and get this crimped. Okay, so I can show you here, I got that crimp. Now I'm about to go over here and solder it. Let's go ahead and solder that up here. I gotta keep all of my leads tidy. PulseJet says, I would rather my project worry about a few U-volts. Oh, you're talking about all of this excessive wire? Well, remember on part 2 of the build, I'll be putting a plate on top of the Go box with a speaker on it. So that'll be, you know, one big plus. And then we'll kind of stand this up here some way, somehow. maybe use some hemostats. Us southern people down here, we call them hemostats. Maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't. I am attempting to do this with my smaller iron. I guess I could go ahead and hook up my larger one and turn it on. I'm not for sure how well this will work. And this is electronics solder. So I'm attempting right now to heat up the copper connector. It will take it a few moments to heat up. Then once you get the connector heated up, then you're able to flow solder into it. I could use my little torch over there and get it done really fast, but I want to do this something like what you all would do when you're doing your own project. I guess while the other iron heats up, I will just start terminating some of these other ends because that one will not do it. Okay. The other one is heating up. Now one of these leads will be going off to a fuse block, and then the other two will be going to a terminal set of studs, like similar to these, that will go to the outside of the go box that some jumper cables will connect to. Now I will be shortening these longer ones up to get to be able to transfer, you know, quite a bit of amperage through those. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, suggestions, I am open to suggestions. I am human. I make mistakes. Even though they say YouTubers are not supposed to make any mistakes. So, I have a question, and I've got my buddy Kev Central on the phone from the YouTube channel, Kev Central, oddly enough. While I'm doing this, can I steal one of your ideas, Kevin?
What idea is that?
Can I tell a story? I want to talk about a convenience store one, but I don't know if I can talk about it. I don't know if it's proper to talk about. I'm talking about what we used to do, and I ran something out to the road.
Yeah, you should probably not tell that.
I'll take.
Now you're making it sound like drug dealers. It was not drugs.
No, it was not drugs. So Kevin worked at a convenience store, and I was a little young punk kid, and I liked hanging out at the convenience store while I was growing up. I mean, I wasn't, 8 years old. I mean, I think I was, 15? Story time with DIY Solar. We had fun at the convenience store. That's all I can say, honestly. We had some fun. I'll say this. So, while growing up, throughout the years, how long did you work at the convenience store? Was it, a year and a half, 2 years?
Something like that, a year and
And
I don't think it was a year and a half. I think it was about a year.
about a year. There were several guys that worked at the convenience store along with Kevin, which Kevin became pretty good friends with several of them. And that convenience store was a hangout. That's the only thing I can say. It was just simply a place to hang out, to do whatever they wanted to do. I'm kind of scared to say some of the stories because I don't want to spoil them for his channel, because that's something he kind of came up with. I'll kill story time. I just don't want to take that credit away from him. So I got my big 125 watt iron out, and I'm flowing some solder into the wires inside the copper connector. I guess I can give a little bit about myself while I'm doing this so it's not so quiet. I am married. I have 2 wonderful kids. I'm a very blessed father, especially to my 3-year-old. Not to air out all of my information, but we had a swimming pool, and my wife had ordered some pizza, and she went to go pay the pizza man, and my son slipped out the back door. Now, in saying when he slipped out the back door, he went directly for the pool. And stupid me, or I blame myself, but he chokes me up. I'm sorry. He got in the pool and he did not know how to swim. So I'm guessing that he was in the pool for about 5 to 7 minutes, and we found him. Well, my wife. I went in the house. I was out in my shop when it happened, and my wife says, "Where's my I'm not gonna say his name to keep it, all YouTube-ish." And she yelled, "Pull." And he was probably at the bottom of the pool for 5 to 7 minutes at least. And I got him out, started doing CPR, mouth to mouth. I don't even remember getting out of the pool, but I somehow I got out of the pool and started doing the CPR and getting tremendous amounts of water out of his lungs. I don't ever want to picture seeing the face that I saw, when I got him out of the pool. That is a terrifying, extremely terrifying image to remember for the rest of your life. So as I was continue doing CPR, his lips started turning from purple back to a little bit blue. By the time I got him to the front yard, my wife was running around trying to get the nurse across the street, but she was out at work. And her phone was dead. And I threw my phone before I jumped in the pool, which we wound up finding later. But she was able to get her phone charged enough to call 911, and the ambulance showed up. The volunteer firefighter showed up, and he was breathing very, very shallow. Needless to say, the whole story of it all, if you have a pool and little children, make sure you protect your innocent child. My son did live, and he did make a full recovery. You know, we definitely had the angels above looking after us. So as a parent, you blame yourself because that child is innocent. So just make sure you watch after your kids. I'm not trying to air out all of my drama, but I figured I'd share that little story with you. He is he's live well. He's you know, very happy. I wouldn't trade him for anything in the world. I have a humongous bond with him now. So, all right, let me go put the shrink wrap on this. I'll be right back with you guys. All right, I know we're looking like we're coming up on 2 hours. So do you want to keep going at 2 hours, Kevin, for another 30 minutes, or do you want to stop off at 2 and we pick up on this, and I can finish making this on a video? I didn't I did not realize that this was going to take this long, and anyway, so I've got my heat shrink on, and this heat shrink has a glue in it. So now we can add it to the battery pack. Now, what I want to do to be safe is I want to add some Kapton tape to my main negative I've hit over here, and then on these. So let me get some Kapton tape to protect that real quick. Remember, you want to be safe while doing this as much as possible. That's the reason why I put the heat shrink on there, to protect it.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I bragged about that microphone and I bought one.
Yep.
I've never heard the microphone because I had you patched in through my phone.
Well, mute me on the phone so you can hear the microphone here. All right, to put a little bit of Kapton tape on this end here to protect it. Then I'll put some here as well. And this is just a simple protection to save it from shorting out temporarily. I'm going to put a little bit of Kapton tape on those 2 wires. And I will be trimming down these wires at a later date to go on the Go box. Okay, so now we almost got the battery pack. I'm gonna go until I get the battery pack wrapped up. That way we can have that part done, and I'll go ahead and get all the other holes drilled in the box for the remaining feed. Okay. Now, I did put all of the parts down below if you would like to order any of this. That way you can go order it, get ready for the part 2 of this particular build. We should be able to get part 2 completed. Just all of these little tiny things that we have to do takes a little bit of time. And give me just a moment and I'll be right back with you guys. Give you a little neat little transition here. Okay, so Uncle Bobby says he'll pretend he didn't hear the story when he goes back to Kev Central. There we go. Uncle Bobby says he'll pretend not to hear the story when he goes back to Kev Central.
Yeah, pretty funny.
All right. Now what I'll probably do is... No, I'll keep that one that way as well. I would like to get the BMS mounted up and shrink wrapped tonight, and then you tell me what you guys would like to see. Would you like to see me finish this live, or would you rather see it in a video? I'll leave that as your call. I'm going to take some 3M Extreme Duty tape, put it on the back side of this BMS, get it through here. Try to do all of this very carefully. Now, we can put the BMS mounted up here something like, let's do it like this. That should be fine. And then we'll tidy up all of these wires and we'll put a big wrap of shrink wrap on it. Get these wires away. Okay. Now this 3M tape, it is called 3M Extreme, and it is 3M Extreme for a reason. It's kind of like VHP tape, but even stronger. They use this in big industrial applications. I guess VHP could probably be using that as well. All right, that should be enough. Now, if you do happen to use any of the 3M Extreme tape, I did not put a link in that in the description. I'll go after the video and add that. But make sure that wherever you're going to put it, that's where you're putting it. So, what does everybody have planned for the weekend? I'll go with Kevin first. You got big plans for the weekend, Kevin? Nope. Got any new videos coming up? Oh yeah, that you just want to do the Ascension, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually editing on it right now.
Oh, what? I didn't think you could multitask. PulseJet says, "Kiss, keep it simple. Stupid is my mode." There you go. All right, so now it's got me wanting to change my mind about maybe going this way. I can mount it closer down here. That's where it's going. All that's tucked in. Perfect. Now we will get all of our wires here. Take this is our thermistor, and I am going to take it and tuck it into the heat shrink right close to a terminal. Actually, let's go about through this way. No. These wires on the thermistor, even though they are silicone, they are still probably pretty fragile. So I was trying not to crimp it off. So we almost got the Lifepo4 pack completed for part 1, and then we will take our Bluetooth and I will pull it out here to the side. Here we go. Now all of our wires leave me a little bit of slack here. About something about like that. And for the time being, I will zip tie that so it doesn't move for my heat shrink. All right. Then pull these wires. I've got some little tiny black zip ties here. I'm just going to fold these wires nice and neat underneath all of this. Right. Most of the UDI wires out there have plenty of zip ties, I'm assuming. I know I've probably got more than I can count with. Okay, so now we'll take one and lightly zip tie it to there where it's really loose. Okay. So now there's that. I'm going to leave that one on there. Fold that in. Now we'll cut us a big piece of shrink wrap. And again, I purchased all of this from Key Store, which is 18650. And I will put a link into that after the end of the video. All right. Somewhere about right in there. And now the Lifepo4 pack is almost complete. I think I may have cut that a wee bit too long. All right. Clean up your work area. Cable ties and duct tape were my best friend, Sonia says. I love cable ties. I've got so many cable ties. Yeah, it's saddening, actually. Okay, so scoop that down a little bit and make sure all of this folds in really well. There we go. Now I will mute you guys out while I run this heat gun again, and we'll call this live feed the end. So give me just a moment. All right, so I will come back and trim all of this off of camera, but now you see we have our Lifepo4 600 amp rush current with a BMS. So now what I'll do is I'll see if I can get this just to sit in there for the time being, but I need to go back and heat and trim all of this off. And because I'm definitely going to have to trim off. As you can see, I've got to trim all that plastic off. It won't fit down in there with the plastic on there. So, because that stuff is very, very, it'll cut you almost. But you kind of get an idea. I'll have the foam in here. I'll get all that trimmed off. And yeah. So, what do you guys think so far of my amateur radio Go box or ham radio Go box? We got our SO239. We got our NMO mount on the top mounted. We got our fuse panel mounted. We got our Lifepo4 pack built. Now it's just wiring it up. So I guess what we'll do, since we have been a little bit over 2 hours, and this went by very fast. Let me do this. Let's swap back over here. Okay, here we go. So I apologize for taking up over 2.5 hours of your of your evening. I do thank you all for sticking around and watching. As you see right here back behind me, I've got to trim up that plastic and get everything situated. So leave me a note in the comments. Would you rather see me do this live, or would you rather me make the rest of it in a video? Doing it video will cut the time down drastically. You'll take, 8-10 hours of video footage down to, say, 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. So let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Also, if you are on Patreon, or if you'd like to join my Patreon, I'm constantly putting new pictures, some video links, and I'm pretty active on Patreon. Also, I'm active on Twitter and Instagram. Don't do too much of the TikTok stuff. I do post a little bit on my DIY Solar Facebook page. Come join me. Now, I do have some shirts. I'm not too sure. I was wearing a black one on the last live feed. I'm not too sure about this on a shirt. It looks good, but I don't know if it's shirt material. But if you want one, hop on over to my store. Kevin will throw some links up in the live chat, or I've got some links down in the bottom. Also to note that I know I'm a long way off from this, but once I hit 100,000 subscribers, I will be doing a huge giveaway. What would that be? Well, it'll be 272 to 280 amp hour of Lifepo4. That'll be minimum. It could be more than that. We'll be doing a Batrium BMS or a DIY BMS. We'll be doing a Victron charge controller. Now, if I throw in the inverter, I will take away the Victron charge controller and do like a Growatt, because it's an all-in-one. It supports LiPo quite well, and all of the wiring. Now, depending where you're at, I may bring it to you and help you install it. That's up to you. But now there could be some solar panels involved. There could be, various other stuff. I don't want to, how do I say this? I'm doing the giveaway to help you all for subscribing to my channel and helping my channel out. I want to give back. Now, I know I'm a new channel, so, if you subscribe, help me get to that 100,000 subscribers, we'll see what takes place. It could be even larger. It could be a larger than a 16S. It could be a 32S. We don't know. See how things go from there. But thank you, Kevin, for throwing that up. Questions, comments, leave them down below. I'm learning more about the YouTube and videos, so as I learn, my video content will get a little bit better. I'm learning from Cav. He's teaching me a lot. Or I'm just watching his videos. Either way. But I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for sticking around. Let me know in the comment section if you'd rather see me finish this live or finish the rest of it in a part 2 video. And I want to do this. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you don't subscribe, you don't see my content. And make sure to give me a thumbs up. The thumbs up gives the YouTube algorithm say, hey, maybe his content may be somewhat halfway decent. But on the other note, I want to thank Kev from Kev Central for being a moderator and helping me out, also giving me some guidance. So with that being said, I appreciate it. Michael here with DIY Solar Energy. You guys have a great evening, and I will see you again on the next one. I guess I need to do this right here, don't I? Yeah, probably so. All right. See you guys.